It's a real pleasure to be here. I've been here 3 times before. This is my 4th trip. And the message you've heard is about transparency, about showing the world who you really are. And every one of the trips I've taken here, I've wanted to show that to my audience and let them ask whatever they want. And America's Voices has made it possible for me to bring the radio show here. I did it last night because I have to do it in the middle of the night here to be on in the middle of the day back at home. And my audience understands that. And some of them are critics of mine, but they all, I think, want to hear what my experiences here are, and I want to show them what your country really is and what's really going on here. You're right that there are a lot of misconceptions in my country among average folks about what's really happening here. And I find those nearly every day when people ask questions about what I've learned on these trips, or even during these trips. They'll call me and say, well, what about this and what about that? And I will tell them what my experiences are. And I think that's a good way to communicate to the rest of the world what's really happening here in Israel. I wear this little flag because I'm a friend of Israel, and I'm an unabashed friend. In my brand of journalism, I'm allowed to give my opinion, which means I'm allowed to say I'm a friend of Israel, and that's the side I'm on. I will be a defender of Israel. However, having said that, I'm glad to have critics on the program who will question what it is that's happening here and how people are being treated. And I'm happy to do that because I think that the best arguments in the world are ones that can be tested by having tough questions asked and having real answers given. Because when you do that, you clear the air of those misconceptions. I'm not a tremendous fan of the current president of the United States, and I don't think he's done your country a lot of favors. In fact, the phrase that we've used most commonly is that sometimes he's thrown you under the bus. And I will say that I've said that myself, and I believe it's true. I think the United States should be a great friend of Israel, and it's a very important subject back at home. The presidential campaign right now, this subject comes up at nearly every debate and nearly every public appearance, how much the United States should support Israel. You are a democracy, you're a beacon of freedom in this region, and you do things in this region that no other country does. You treat your Arab citizens, Arab Israelis, better than they would be treated in an Arab country. And that is one of the great ironies that sometimes doesn't come home to people until they hear somebody like me come over, see it, and then say it on the radio. And I don't have an audience as big as some of my colleagues like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin. Mark's a good friend of mine, but it's important, I think, for you to communicate. It may seem odd to you. Why would you communicate to the United States through radio? There's network television, there's CNN. Well, the thing is, CNN tries to tell your complicated story in a minute and a half. People like me in my business have 3 hours every night, 3 hours, to really unravel a very complicated situation and allow a full explanation of it to people. And I just can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be able to be in your country again. I will bring my radio show back here again and again, and I think it's an important thing you're doing through America's Voices in Israel to allow people like me to come here, experience your country firsthand, and to tell our stories to the audience that we have back in the United States. And as to the question of if you want to bring left-wing talk show hosts here, good. Bring them if they'll come. I'm going to tell you something. Conservative talk shows like me will come because we're friends of Israel. The left, I've found that left-wing people in America generally are pro-Palestinian without even knowing why. They just perceive that you are the bully, Palestinians are the underdog, and that's all they need to know. All they need to know is everything you do is generally wrong, and everything the Palestinians do, even if it's blowing people up or settlers who are murdered in their homes. I saw the results of the trial today, and what did the 2 with the 11 pipe bombs want to do at the trial? Those are stories that need to be heard back in the United States. They need to know the daily reality that you deal with. So I will do my part to try to make that happen. If you want to bring the Huffington Post and bring Drudge over, bring some of my colleagues. The young lady that I face off on Fox News with once a week, Leslie Marshall, I said, I'm going to Israel. She said, I don't particularly care for the country and I'm half Jewish. That's what she said to me. I said, I love the country. I said, I can understand why you don't. You're a lefty talk show host. It's a hardworking, patriotic, capitalistic, freedom-loving country. I can understand why the left in America doesn't particularly care for Israel. I like the place, and I do like the place, and I'm an unabashed fan of your country, and I thank you for the opportunity to, and the great opportunity to sit here and say these things to you.